August 6, 2025, 5:30. Could we have roll call?
Councillor Buell,
Here.
Councillor Gonzalez, Councillor Koso,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Here.
and Mayor Yazzie.
Here.
The first item on the agenda, or the next item on the agenda, is the reading of the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement.
This is a call to honor and respect Indigenous sovereignty and self-determination. As residents and visitors of Durango, we are called upon to educate ourselves about the history and cultural heritage of the land we inhabit. The city of Durango is situated on the ancestral homelands and territories of the Nuchu, Ute, Jicarilla Apache, Pueblos of New Mexico, Hopi-Sinom, Hopi, and Dene Navajo nations. The original stewards of this land were forcibly removed and exposed to countless atrocities by the United States government, including repeatedly broken treaties, forced assimilation, the tragic legacy of Indian boarding schools, and the loss of ancestral homelands. We recognize lasting generational trauma exists within Native communities today. We affirm the continuing importance of ancestral sites to descendant communities as integral to the living cultural landscape. This acknowledgement only becomes meaningful when combined with accountable relationships and informed actions. May this serve as a step toward inclusion and reconciliation.
The next item is the introduction of the translator.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Liz Torres, and I am here with my colleague, B. Torres. We will be your interpreters today from the CLC. And in order to access interpretation, on Teams, you can go to the More menu and then select Language and Speech, and then select the language of your heart from there. Muy buenas tardes, mi nombre es Liz Torres y estoy aquí con mi colega Vi Torres. El día de hoy vamos a ser sus intérpretes de la Cooperativa Comunitaria de Lenguaje. Y para poder seleccionar el idioma de su corazón, vaya a los 3 puntitos del menú de más y allí puede seleccionar inglés o español. Gracias. We can go ahead and get started.
The next item on the agenda is opening remarks by Mayor and Council.
My apologies, I had Altoids going down the throat there. Council, thank you, Mayor. Along with Councillor Woodruff, met with the North Animas Neighborhood Group, talking about the Animas City Night Bazaar and safety issues between 29th and 30th Streets on the west side, and looking forward to having more discussion about that since it pertains to kids and bicycle usage along that alley, as well as impacts on the neighbors and businesses. Took a tour of Mana and all of their impressive work. Had a couple of other council members join me there, and that was fantastic as well. I highly encourage everybody to understand all the things that Mana does. And then ongoing work with Nina and other organizations around the establishment of a warming center for this next winter, which I think is very important. So that continues on. Thank you.
And next item is presentations and proclamations. I do not see anything listed on the agenda for that. So the next item would be city manager updates.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I do have one update for you all. Unfortunately, as we all know, we have not received much meaningful rain in the area. And so with the ask and request of the Durango Fire Protection District Fire Chief Randy Black, I am going to sign a declaration pursuant to Chapter 9 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Durango that would put us under Stage 2 restrictions. The parts that would do in Stage 2 restrictions would now have the following bans: igniting, building, maintaining, attending, or use of a fire, campfire, charcoal, barbecue, or grill, except if using a device solely fueled by liquid or gas that can be turned on and off in an area barren or cleared of all flammable materials within 3 feet of the device, smoking except in an enclosed vehicle or building, and wielding or operating a torch with an open flame without being supervised, and then using an explosive. So This is at the request of the fire chief for the Durango Fire Protection District, so I will give this to Faye to do. However, under our ordinances, that would only last 7 days. The council would need to call a special called meeting to actually authorize that to last longer. Mark and his office have already prepared that, and we will have Kyle reach out and pull for a meeting for the council to see if they can meet here in the next 7 days to discuss.
Alrighty, so can we call for a special meeting and also do a doodle poll to see a time that works out for us?
Sounds good.
My question is just how does the public informed of the that shift? Is there what is the mechanism?
So first it's posted. We do have Tom and our PIO using a press release as well as our social media outlets, and then also on our website.
And are people aware of when you issue the stage 2? Do they understand? Do you also then include what the limitations are?
Yes, that would be part of the information.
Great, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is committee, board, and liaison reports. In your packet, you will see a written report from the Airport Commission, the Community Development Commission, and the Historic Preservation Board as well.
Alrighty, do any of the counselors have any reports? Alrighty, we're done there.
The next item on the agenda then is public comment on items under consideration for adoption. Could we have the recording, Tom?
Public comment is encouraged on agenda items set for consideration and a vote by the council tonight. Public comments on items not set for consideration by the council come later in the meeting. Please begin your comments by stating the agenda items set for a vote you intend to speak on, your full name, and if you are a resident of the city of Durango. Make your comments directly to the council. Do not expect a response from the council or staff. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, unless modified by the council. Unused time is not transferable to other speakers. Comments must be specific to the item you identified when you began your comments. Profanity, hate speech, personally derogatory remarks, speech unrelated to the item you identified, or other speech that is disruptive to the meeting will be ruled out of order by the chair, and any remaining time will be forfeited by the speaker. Exceeding the time limit infringes on the rights of others and is out of order. Only a majority vote of the council can modify time limits. Please note, you must sign up prior to the mayor calling the item on the agenda. Signing up after the item is called will result in your name not being called to speak.
We have 2 people who have signed up and not indicated a specific topic. The first of those 2 is Mike Olson.
Olson, and I'm actually, the item I want to discuss is not on the agenda, so I'll wait till at a later time, if that's all right. Keeping with the way the flow is.
So I understand he would be moved to item 13. Okay, thank you. The next item person signed up that did not indicate a section is Kristen Salaz.
Hello, Council. Sorry, I didn't know exactly how to sign up for this because I've never done it before. My name is Kristen Salas, and I'm owner of Refill. And I want to thank you for having me here today. I also just wanted to put a face with my business today because back in March, a city crew was flushing some water in the storm drain in front of my business, and they didn't notify me that they were doing it. And a flood of sewage filled the back half of my business, resulting in 7 weeks of lost revenue and a lot of product loss. It could have been kind of remedied if there was communication, and that's part of why I'm here today, because I do think that work like this should be acknowledged with any kind of home or business that could be in the way. And so I'm here today to ask you guys to please, I know that the insurance denied the claim for this. However, I know that if I would have made that mistake on anybody's home or business and my insurance denied it, I would still be responsible, just like anybody else in here. So I am holding the city responsible for the losses and damages for this. And so I just wanted to introduce myself, and I think you all have plenty of information that you need. And I'm here if you have any questions about it. Thank you.
The next person signed up to speak is Sarah Shaw.
Hi, counselors. My name is Sarah Shaw, and I do live in Durango. I just wanted to say thank you for hearing all of us about the 7th Street pilot program and listening and being open to everything we had to share with you. And that's all I wanted to say, and I hope you'll vote to take it off.
The next person.
The second speaker was on 15.1. That speaker was on 11.2.
Right.
Just for the minutes.
Yes, thank you. The next person did sign up for 11.2 as well, Beth Lambertson Warren.
Staff, Beth Lambertson Warren, 43-year Durango resident, live on the grid, and I want to thank you all for the opportunity to be here. Having this item on the vote tonight shows a sign of council listening and citizen participation. One of the things about our neighborhood I'm really proud of is that we really do play a major role in supporting our community. Workforce parking. I've had a server tell me she appreciates parking in front of my residence with a porch light on as she walks home at night, along with hundreds of others who park along our way. Visitor parking, shade and room for large RVs and vehicles with trailers. I always wave and say, welcome. Does your dog have water? Special events, Fort Lewis College, Iron Horse, involve street closures. I support that. I also welcome the visiting teams in to use my bathroom and change clothes. We're also a high density long-term rental neighborhood. On my street alone, I'm the only owner occupied on my side of the street, corner to corner out of 14 residences. And I work with my neighbors, I work with the landlords, I make sure that everyone's being a good citizen. Event parking, Snowdown, July 4th, Cowboy Gathering, and many more. We provide that to the citizens and the community. It's my belief that were the reverse parking to go into effect, even as a test pilot, the complications from the unforeseen impact of these vehicles would tie up staff time and resources. Look at the Subarus with bike racks. I just saw one mounted to the spare tire. So now we're out 3 feet. And I believe this would cause problems with ADA compliance on the sidewalk, along with damage to city-owned trees and more. Thank you again for listening. And I'd like to thank Sarah Shaw for first bringing this all to our attention as neighbors. And here we are tonight. Thank you.
The remaining individuals have signed up to speak under item 13. So with that, the next item is the consent agenda. With your permission, I'll read that into the record. 8.1 is approval of minutes, with 8.1.1 being approval of the City Council regular meeting minutes from July 15th, 2025. There are no final reading of ordinances. 8.3 is adoption of resolutions by consent with 2 items. A resolution approving the local event marketing grant round 2 2025 awardees. 8.3.2 is a resolution approving the Durango Creates grant round 2 2025 awardees. 8.4 is approval of other administrative items, with 8.4.1 being the appointment of Councilor Kip Koso to the Durango-La Plata County Airport Commission as council liaison, replacing Mayor Gilda Yazzie. 8.5 is a request for public hearings, and there are no requests tonight. 8.6 is introduction of ordinances, with 2 items. 8.6.1, an ordinance authorizing a facility lease with Agile Space Industries, Incorporated at 820 Airport Road. And 8.6.2, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of sales and use tax revenue bonds, Series 2025, as approved by the voters at the April election. And there are no requests for excused absences.
Alrighty, after the reading of the consent agenda, is there anybody who wants to pull an item?
I would, Mayor, I'd like to pull, 8.3.1.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, removing 8.3.1.
Second.
Discussion? Vote?
Counselor Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Buell,
Yes.
and Counselor Koso.
Yes.
That would bring us to item 8.3.1, which is a resolution approving the local event marketing grant round 2025 awardees.
Council, I needed to abstain from this one as one of the grants is for an organization that I'm board chair of. So I wanted to make sure we pulled this out and I removed myself, abstain from the vote.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution approving the local event marketing grant round to 2025 awardees submitted by Tommy Crosby.
Second.
Could we get a vote here?
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez,
Yes.
and Counselor Buell.
Yes.
That brings us to, there are no public hearings tonight, so that brings us to 11.1, which is resolutions. A resolution directing the city manager to sign an intergovernmental agreement, also known as an IGA, for the November 4th, 2025 coordinated election with the La Plata County Clerk's Office. As you'll recall, in the last meeting, council approved moving forward and notifying the county we would be participating in the election. And this item would allow the city manager, obviously, to sign the governmental agreement so our office could move forward with the election procedures that are required by law.
And this election would be responsive to the Durango Fire Protection District ask that they're asking for. So while it is a city election, it's not a city of Durango issue that we're placing forward, just for clarification.
Sorry, I move to approve a resolution directing the city manager to sign an intergovernmental agreement for the November 4th, 2025 coordinated election with the La Plata County Clerk's Office.
I'll second.
Okay, could we have discussion? Or the vote?
No one wants
No
to
one-
discuss, yeah.
Are we ready for a vote? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Buell,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Koso,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez.
Yes.
11.2 is a resolution removing the 7th Street pilot project from the speed management plan.
Move to approve a resolution removing 7th Street pilot project from the speed management plan.
So should we do discussion? I'd like to speak in favor of removing the 7th Street pilot project from the speed management plan. Basically based upon the fact that we had a lot of community input that this is a little bit disturbing for our neighborhoods, and I'm completely in support of keeping our neighborhoods intact and a comfortable place to live. I do understand that we want to move forward with the Vision Zero program, but we can find other methods to move forward with that. So I'm in support of this resolution.
You're on the.
Oh, sorry.
Or just.
Because you're next on the discussion.
Yeah, I didn't know if she had to call me or if I could just go.
I think she's ready just to call you. She'll do it, Mayor. As soon as she's done, if you call on her, she'll push the button and she'll go away.
Have to push it twice?
No, just when you're done. So if you.
Sorry, you guys, there's some new technology happening over here. We're figuring it out. Okay, so first I want to say I understand and I appreciate the concerns that have been raised by residents in the 7th Street area. Change, especially when it impacts daily routines, can be challenging, and it's natural for communities to voice their perspectives. I do want to give a shout out to Beth Lamberson Warren for her thoughtful engagement, discussions, and conversations. Your positivity and level-headedness are to be commended, and I would have any conversation with you anytime. It was a pleasure, so thank you. However, I do want to remind us of the fundamental purpose behind this pilot project. It is part of a broader grant initiative designed to test various traffic calming measures across 3 different neighborhoods for just a 3-month period. The explicit goal is to gather data, to observe the positives, identify any negatives, and then use that information to make informed decisions about whether or not to implement more permanent solutions. This is a crucial step in our process. By its very definition, nothing about a pilot project is set in stone. While I deeply value neighborhood input and understand the desire to maintain the status quo, I must caution us, City Council, against a precedent where every instance of pushback on a proposed change leads to the immediate pulling of a project. If we were to adopt such a policy, we would frankly accomplish very little. Durango is growing and evolving. The growth inevitably requires change. Our responsibility is to ensure these changes are well thought out, benefit our city as a whole, and carefully preserve the unique spirit and character of our town. To be clear, this particular pilot project is not my hill to die on, but I urge my fellow councilors to consider carefully the broader implications of how and when we decide to change direction. Let us reflect on what we gain and what we potentially lose by halting a data gathering process before it has had the chance to yield its insights. Our commitment to thoughtful, evidence-based decision-making is paramount for Durango's future.
Thank you, Mayor. I had the opportunity to meet with a resident at 7th Street. Sarah, thank you for your time. Again, I really appreciate you eloquently going over your points. So thank you for taking the time to speak with me. This past weekend, I was grateful to have spoken with her to truly hear her perspective on the pilot program and perceived impacts on the program to her and her neighbors. It gave me a better understanding of their concerns and opened up conversations regarding community engagement, not only before these programs come around, but also during. I appreciate everyone taking the time to be here and advocating for their neighborhood and their community. I really do take pride in knowing that we have an engaged community that is thoughtful and passionate to matters that are important to them. While we may not always come out at the end of a conversation agreeing, I appreciate the input provided and hope we can continue respectful dialogue in future conversations. That being said, I remain steadfast in looking at this temporary pilot program from a 30,000-foot view and trying to keep our community vibrant and safe. Council in 2024 gave staff direction pursuing a Vision Zero policy, and this temporary program helps aid in gathering data for this potential policy. Additionally, this 3-month program is part of the implementation of the multimodal transportation plan adopted by Council in 2023. This program also falls in line with our strategic plan, also approved by Council, specifically reliable infrastructure and community connectivity. This short-term program gives staff the opportunity to observe 3 different traffic calming treatments in 3 different areas of the city that have a proven track record in other cities. We may not have used any of these potential treatments in Durango yet, but this and other pilot programs give us the chance to collect data and see if this Federal Highway Administration proven traffic calming measures can work in our community. This data will give us valuable insight to see if there's an impact on the number of people who speed, how operationally these treatments work for staff in our streets division, to see how emergency responders interact with the program, if they can be duplicated in the future, and importantly, to get feedback from neighborhood residents. At the end of the 12-week period, the treatments are required to be fully removed. If, and that's a big if they were effective at calming speeds, they will be added to the speed management plan's menu of options for residents to consider when they come to the city with a concern in their neighborhood. No treatments will be installed without robust neighborhood engagement. Again, thank you to all who came out to give their concerns voice, and I look forward to more conversations down the road and how we continue to push and make our community better.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for the civic discussion that we've had through this whole topic. I'll just make one point. A neighborhood that's united in opposition cannot possibly be the best place for a pilot on parking. So I believe there's other streets that would be more interested in the results and less objections to the pilot program. So I remain committed to seeing this pulled from the parking study.
So I guess I do have some questions. I think for staff, I'm just, there's not, so as I'm reading this as a resolution, it has Kip's name on it. So if there's any questions, are then they directed to the council member?
If there's questions in regarding to the project of effects or anything, that obviously the staff would be the one to answer any of those questions. I think if they're a question of the intent of why it was brought, that would be to Councilor Kosa.
No, the questions are more related to staff, but I didn't see that Sarah here. Is she here?
Sarah's right here.
Okay. Hi, Sarah. You know, I don't see well. I do have a couple of questions. Thank you. So, you know, we know this was a pilot project intended to get some feedback. Are there other examples of something we could have done? I mean, when we got the feedback that the community didn't like this particular back in, right, like angling, could we have tried something else?
These treatments were recommended by the Federal Highway Administration, who is funding the project. So they were at the recommendation of FHWA.
And so there was no opportunity to say, okay, the community doesn't like this. Can we try bike lanes? Can we try crosswalks?
The demonstration projects themselves, the 12 weeks, are the opportunity for the community to weigh in and tell us whether or not they did like the treatment.
Okay, so there's no, I do think it's unfortunate that there was so much negative feedback. I mean, I, as a representative of the community, believe that we have to take action when we see there was so much pushback. But I do think it's important, you know, in particular that, you know, we continue with actions regarding Vision Zero. And I know that, you know, there was a presentation a couple of months back, but no action was taken by the council, right? There was actually no resolution approved. There was no, it was just a, as I understand, just simply a presentation and then nothing happened.
Well, I believe, I don't know which one you're referring to. We had an engaged forum where we presented survey responses that we received and the status of where we are in the development of the speed management plan. And then at council's request, we did provide a city manager's update, I believe last month.
Regarding the Vision Zero, and it was a presentation to the council. Now I don't have my notes in front of me, so you'll forgive me. But, you know, I guess I'm very supportive of these initiatives. I'm very supportive of different options. So I guess that's why, like, you know, is there an attempt to try again with something else?
We are moving forward with the speed management plan. If council, you know, does remove the 7th Street pilot project from the plan, we just won't have data to be able to indicate whether or not this treatment that's recommended by the FHWA is effective in our network.
So we can perhaps try something else another time. I mean, and does it preclude us from then applying for other grants related to Vision Zero and initiatives?
No.
Okay, so we could try again. I do think it was unfortunate that this one didn't go. And I do have some questions regarding notification. I hope that we can address that perhaps at another meeting, because there's been a number of times that people are saying they're not notified. And it was kind of related to the question I was asking the city manager about the emergency services, like how are people notified, you know, that there's going to be a project, or that, you know, that there's a change in stage of fire safety or something like that. So I hope that we can explore that. I'll figure out how I get that presented.
Well, and I can say, I'm really grateful also for the conversations that we've had with the residents. Some of them invited us to their homes, and I really appreciate the opportunity to have the conversations. And I think what we learned through that is that residents of 7th Street feel like we're at the very end of this project, where city staff's view is that we're at the very beginning, and the notifications are coming. The plan for a really robust community engagement is in place for the demonstration projects. So the locations of the demonstration projects were selected based on FHWA requirements, technical stakeholder input, and then, just the opportunity to be able to have a replicable demonstration project. But I definitely understand where the residents are coming from and how it feels that we missed the boat on notification and engagement.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Seeing no hands raised, let's have a vote.
Councilor Gonzalez,
The voting aye means I support the motion
Yes.
removing it. Okay, just want to make sure I have it right. Yes.
Councilor Koso,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Buell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff.
No.
Item 11.3 is a resolution authorizing the cash defeasance of the city's 2016 sales and use tax revenue refunding note.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Gloria Platt, the Chief Financial Officer. This item does align with our strategic goals for the city of financial excellence and a high-performing organization. It also closely speaks to our mission, vision, and value statements, striving to provide outstanding customer service for our community. And again, this item is to consider approval of a resolution authorizing the cash defeasance of the 2016 sales and use tax revenue refunding note. So the purpose of this item is really to begin steps for the issuance of the 2025 sales and use tax revenue bonds. The defeasance of this 2016 bond issuance really allows the city to remove the debt obligation from the city's balance sheet. This also removes any existing pledge of the 1/2 of 50% sales and use tax revenue that was continued earlier this year. So in April 2025, voters did approve the ballot question 2A, authorizing the issuance of up to 61 million in sales and use tax revenue bonds payable from 1/2 of the 50% sales and use tax authorized for capital improvements and other legally available revenues of the city. And proceeds of these bonds are to be used for the restoration of the historic Durango High School building and adjacent facilities for use of the new City Hall and police facilities. So just a little background information regarding these notes, the 2016 that we're discussing tonight. It is scheduled to mature December 1st, 2025, here in just a few months within the current fiscal year. And so we do also have funds that are budgeted to pay these payments. As mentioned, these notes are backed by this pledge of sales tax revenues. And so it's advantageous for the city to go ahead and pay these a few months early. There is a clause in these in the loan documents so that parity debt or future debt that would be backed by the same pledge of revenues would require the consent of the bank that's issued the notes. And again, that's about to mature, so it's really not advantageous for the city to go through that process at this point. So additionally, at the time that the voters authorized the 2025 bonds, there were 2 outstanding bonds. So tonight we're talking about the 2016 loan specifically, but just to give you a fuller picture, the broad history, there were 2 loans that were outstanding that had a lien on the anticipated pledged revenues for these 2025 bonds. The 2016 that we're discussing tonight, this was issued to finance the construction of the library. And the 2017 was issued to fund street improvements on Florida Road. And so given that there was a combined lien for the pledged revenue sources, we really worked with Hilltop Securities, the city's financial advisors, along with our bond counsel to find the best way to move forward. And they did advise the city to pay these in advance. So the 2017 loan was prepayable at any time. That was written into the loan documents. And staff did present this to City Council earlier this year with a budget amendment to prepay these loans. Council did approve that budget amendment and this process, and these were paid off in May of 2025. So the 2016 loan that we're talking about tonight did not have a specific prepayment flexibility clause within or defeasance clause. And so the city's team really has been working along with our financial advisors and bond counsel to figure out these steps forward. So tonight we have this before you, and we've worked with JP Morgan, the loan holder, to achieve this. So after this resolution is adopted, then the 2016 loan will be legally and economically defeased. And really the steps are outlined within the ordinance. It involves an escrow agreement between the city and the escrow bank. And then once this is funded or executed and funded, then these notes will be defeased. And so really just to kind of summarize, the reason that this is before you tonight, we do have funds available in the budget. However, because there was not language in the loan that really spelled out a defeasance clause, this resolution will change the bond language, and so it was necessary to bring it before you tonight. Staff again did present this prepayment of these loans to the FAB board earlier this year, along with that budget amendment, which they did support, and then staff brought that budget amendment to council, and now we're just trying to take care of the 2016 piece to defease those loans as well. So we do recommend passing this resolution. So I can answer any questions that you have at this time. Additionally, Kim Crawford with our bond counsel is online.
Could I get a
Mayor, I move to approve a resolution authorizing the cash defeasance of the city's 2016 sales and use tax revenue refunding note.
I'll second.
get discussion?
Aye.
No. Oh, you got your name on there?
Okay. So you'll forgive me. I didn't really understand that. So I know that we approved paying off a loan a couple of months ago, but this does not pay off that loan, or explain that part again.
Okay. Yes, and I did provide the related loan, trying to give a fuller background, but that may have been confusing. So this item is for the 2016 loan. The one that was paid off a little earlier in the year was for the 2017 issuance. And so the 2017, we needed a budget amendment, and we came before council and asked for those funds to prepay the loan. For this loan that we're talking about tonight, there is no budget amendment because the funds are budgeted. We are scheduled to pay this off in a few months. However, there was no clause within the bond language in order to prepay it early. So we want to go ahead and pay this, get this off of our books, have it defeased so that we can move forward with the 2025 issuance, because the revenues that will be pledged for that issuance are basically the same. And so there's a need to defease that a few months earlier. And so this is not requiring a budget amendment again, but it is requiring that resolution, which will change the language, saying that there is now a clause to pay it off early.
Could I simplify that? Okay, so basically we have outstanding payments that we need to put to sleep so we can go forward with the financing that we're going to do for the city hall. And this is just putting to sleep this part so we can move forward. And there's no language to retire this loan early. So this is what that resolution is doing, is making it for the minutes and legally so we can move forward.
So how is this different from what we approved the last time?
So this is a different loan.
It's a different loan altogether.
Yes, we have two. So we're pledging revenues with the 2025 bonds. It involves two revenue sources. One is from the 2% sales tax revenues, and one is from 1/2 of the 0.5% that goes for capital projects. And so those are currently pledged by those two different loans, or one, because one has been paid off.
Well, I'm supportive of paying them off so that we can sort of move on to the next one. I guess there was some language in there that we are trying to adjust with this resolution today.
Right. We are just adjusting the bond language basically on record so that we have a way to pay it off early.
And there's no impact to the budget.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, first off, let's acknowledge you're relatively new in your position, and thank you very much for taking all the questions and presenting tonight. Just a small side question. If we don't do the defeasance and we don't pay off early, what's the negative impact on the bond that we're trying to get funded?
Okay, I will give you my short answer,
Sure,
and then
sure.
I may defer to Kim online, but really we would just push this process forward. We wouldn't be able to move forward at this time because when we start working with putting out our statements for the bonds and working with bond rating agencies, that's some things that they will look at, and we don't want to have those double pledged basically. But Kim, do you have any follow up on that? You may not.
No, Kim?
Did that answer your question or?
Kim, can you unmute your microphone?
Okay, I think I'm on now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. No, I think, Gloria's done a very good job of explaining this. These 2016 bonds will pay off in December in any event. But as she said, rating agencies and bondholders view a little bit more negatively a double pledge. So just to kind of clean things up, since it's so short of a time frame, this has already been budgeted for. This resolution just allows the city to move forward and to go ahead and put this money in an escrow account so that these bonds can be paid at their normal maturity date. But once it's put in the escrow account, then they're considered legally defeased for your purposes and for the purposes of issuing the new bonds. So it'll be like you paid them off early, although the money's just going into an escrow. And it allows you to move forward with a kind of a clean slate, and you can pledge the sales tax revenue to these new bonds, and they'd stand alone. You wouldn't have to get consent from JP Morgan, who's the owner of the 16 bonds, and you wouldn't have to meet an additional bonds test.
So thanks for that, Kim. So if we're trying to issue the new bond without doing the defeasance, does the interest rate move a quarter point? They consider it a lot more risky. Is that the negatives that come along with not doing this?
I'm not the financial advisor, but I do think that your pledge is a little less strong if you're paying another bond with it. Although again, it's just December, so you have one payment left. It's due in December. So your financial advisor, Hilltop, who is not on the line tonight, just thought it would be a lot better for the rating agency perspective and bondholder perspective to just go ahead and wait until that payment was made or to pay it early. And we have received consent from JP Morgan to pay it early. So that I don't think it would be much of a change. It just would make it a lot cleaner, easier for investors to understand. And moving forward for the city would make it a lot easier.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilor Buell,
Yes.
Councilor Koso.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moves us to item 11.4, resolution authorizing the City of Durango and the Iron Horse Bicycle Classic to execute a memorandum of understanding for the purpose of partnering and being a fiscal sponsor for the 2030 World Championship.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Mike French from the Prosperity Office. It's my privilege to discuss the next and potentially final step to bring the World Mountain Bike Championship to Durango in 2030. This strongly aligns with our vision as well as the Prosperity mission. It also aligns with our strategic plan, specifically 2.2, stimulating economic progress, and 2.3, enhancing our our distinctive appeal and competitive advantage. Just to review the bid process, in December of 2024, the letter of intent was submitted to UCI. UCI stands for the International Cycling Union. I'm not going to pronounce that in Swiss. It is a governing body for all international competitive cycling, and that includes events such as the Tour de France and the World Cup. In January of 2025, the bid document was submitted by Gage Sippy, who joins us here tonight, and we assisted in a support letter from the previous council, and we were also assisted with the Visit Durango funds that went into the $20,000 application fee. In June of 2025, the bid was selected. The contract is signed as of July 31st by Gage with a new LLC that was stood up as the hosting entity. And now we're in a final step to identify a fiscal sponsor to be secured within the next 60 days. The final approval will happen on September 25th with the UCI holding a Congress in Rwanda. And after that, they will approve and formally announce the bid selection. To review the events leading up to the World Championships in fall of 2028, it would bring a national championship to Durango. In the fall of 2029, a World Cup stop in Durango, and then finally in 2030, the World Championship that is slated for August 26th through September 1st of 2030. Some MOU details that are in your packet. The Iron Horse Bicycle Classic has created a subsidiary named Durango Cycling Championship LLC, established with the Colorado Secretary of State for the sole purpose of hosting and producing the UCI event. UCI requires that the host city and/or applicant have a fiduciary sponsor that will place 150 Swiss francs, which today translates to $188,000, in a designated account as a security for UCI to be held until the event is performed. The city and the Prosperity Office has created the funding budget for the UCI fiscal sponsor requirements of host from an MOU with Dato Board of Directors. That MOU transferred 1.1 million of reserve funds to the city for specific tourism marketing categories, including $200,000 earmarked for the 2030 World Championship. The 2030 World Mountain Bike Championship will have 5 days of competition, 7 categories of both men and women, 800 athletes from 55 nations, 100 countries with a fan base and viewership, and 45 million viewers anticipated through 30 broadcasters of the UCI. Economic development impact from recent US-hosted UCI World Championship events include the 2024 UCI BMX World Champs in Rock Hill, South Carolina. The direct economic impact was over $30 million. The tax revenue was $2.59 million. In 2022, the UCI Cyclocross World Champs were held in Fayetteville, Arkansas. The direct economic impact was just under 10 million, and the tax revenue was 1.1 million. It is staff's recommendation that we move to create a resolution authorizing the City of Durango and Iron Horse Bicycle Classic, specifically Durango Cycling Championships LLC, to execute a MOU for the purpose of partnering and being a fiscal sponsor to the 2030 World Championships.
I'll make a motion. Ooh, Well, fine. Switch over here. You changed the slide on me, but I'll make a motion to authorize a resolution authorizing the City of Durango and the Iron Horse Bicycle Classic to execute a memorandum of understanding for the purpose of partnering and being a fiscal sponsor for the 2030 World Championship.
Second.
Mike, I got a question on the deposit or the 150,000, and I spoke briefly with Gage prior to this. So the 150,000 is Swiss francs. It's 188,000. It's coming from a $250,000 allocation for events marketing.
200K, yes, sir.
200K. Okay. So it does not. It's not set at 188. We need to leave, like, we don't know what the exchange rate's going to do over the next 3 years. So
correct.
So I guess just to make sure council understands, the event marketing budget that came over with the Visit Durango dollars.
It came over with the dissolution of Dato. So it was 1.1, which we've already received. So we have possession of those funds. Of that, 200,000 was designated specifically for this, for the 2030 World Mountain Bike Championship.
My apologies. So it was not designated as event marketing. It was designated for this particular.
That is correct.
Okay. And do we know how much risk there is that the exchange rate's going to make this 188 turn into 250?
I couldn't tell you, but
we
have
a
little.
Happen to exchange rates in 3 years, Mike?
We have a little bit of a buffer in place in the event that the dollar continues to weaken, or hopefully it strengthens.
Okay.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, right. It could go in a good direction as well.
Yeah.
And lastly, what's a visa-free in Councilor Buell's letter when she was mayor, there was a section that says it's going to be a visa-free zone. I have no idea what that means.
So if the world championships are held in certain countries, the visa program becomes very important from travelers from outside of your country. We will have to provide a letter that says we are hosting a world championship event to legitimize the reason somebody's coming to our country to take part in the event.
Okay.
So that's really what it comes down to.
Great.
Yes.
Thank
It always
you.
sounds ominous though when that
It
comes
does.
up. Every time.
It did, but appreciate all your work on this.
Yes, thank you.
Mayor, I'd also like to acknowledge Barbara Bowman, who did quite a bit of work to get us to this point, as well as Bob Brammer and the Parks and Rec Department and staff who did quite a bit of work to get us to this point as well.
Thank you. Well, this is hugely exciting news. I've been in great anticipation of the finalization. And so does this resolution then finalize the transaction?
That's correct. It's the last step that allows our city manager to sign an MOU with the Durango Cycling Championship, which is required for the UCI to accept and finalize the bid.
Okay, that's exciting. And so tell me, what was what kind of things were included in an application that made Durango the more desirable location?
How much time do you have?
And could you
So as a reminder to everybody in the room, the first mountain bike world championships were in Durango in 1990. They reached out to us to see if we'd be willing to do the 2030 40-year anniversary. And so the list of requirements is fairly significant in order to secure the bid. So it was a fairly long process, but there's a financial component, there's a venue component, there's a lodging component, there's all of the different things you might imagine to host a global level championship. The good news is we've been doing special events and cycling events here for many, many years. The Iron Horse is a respected organization. We've held World Cups, so we were able to slot in and be able to check the boxes for them. It is a 48-page agreement with the UCI that you enter into in order to do these events. We had 6 revisions of that to get to where we are right now. And there's obviously a financial component. While this is a component of the financial piece, it's much larger than this. But there's revenues that come from the event, direct revenues, there's sponsorship dollars, things of that nature. But we landed here because we did this very well in 1990. And I think it's our community is a global leader in cycling. There is no question. And so it's time to bring it back to Durango.
So just a few follow-up questions regarding the other events that were scheduled in the fall, and then was that all part of the package that we would host these additional?
Yeah,
events?
so in order to host the World Championships, you have to do 2 international level events in the years prior. So we will do either a national championship or a UCI level event in 2028 and then a World Cup in 2029. I'm headed to Lake Placid in October to meet with Warner Brothers, who runs the UCI World Cup series, to start discussing our plans for that. But a World Cup is almost as big as the World Championships.
I can imagine it's quite a lift. And so thank you to all those that participated to bring this to Durango. I think it's hugely exciting. And could you introduce yourself? Are you a volunteer? Were you, how did that?
I am darn sure a volunteer right now. I will tell you that.
It's for the record.
For the record, yes, I guess I would say at this point I am a volunteer, but I have a fairly long history in doing cycling related events and was the Durango Iron Horse Bicycle Class director for 16 years. And so I have a bit of a background in this. And so when this opportunity came to the fore and UCI and USA Cycling reached out to Durango, that phone call landed on me. Am I interested in helping getting this started? And then, as mentioned, Bob Brammer, Barb Bowman, many of you were part of the process to get us where we are tonight. Yes.
I appreciate that. And I'm really excited and look forward to supporting the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mine's quick. Yeah, just real quick. You know, I mean, you can stand there because you've done so much work, and we said thank you to the city staff, but really this would not have gone off and been going if it wasn't for all of your hard work and dedication. And so Gage, thank you for your continued support of our biking community, you know, Durango Mesa Park, Iron Horse, all of it. And we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You have a lot of more hard work ahead of you.
I got 5 years.
Okay, just making sure.
See no other hands raised. Could we get a vote?
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Koso,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilor Buell.
Yes.
That brings us to 11.5, a resolution ratifying the Durango Fire Protection District, also known as DFPD, fire impact fee schedule and authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding addressing impact fee collection with the Durango Fire Protection District.
Council, you'll recall a couple of meetings ago, we repealed, I think it's Chapter 8 of our code, which had to do with the scheme for collecting impact fees in the city of Durango. That was pursuant to an amendment made in the state legislature by the Senate. This is a follow-up piece of legislation that ratifies and acknowledges that the DFPD will collect those fees within the city pursuant to the contract we have with them to provide fire protection services in the city. And it just simply reserves the right to negotiate with them or work out with them in a memorandum of understanding what we will do when it comes to waiving that fee for affordable housing.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution ratifying the Durango Fire Protection District DFPD fire impact fee schedule and authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding addressing impact fee collection with the Durango Fire Protection District.
Second.
Councilor Koso,
Yes.
Councilor Buell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is 12.1, an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 24, Traffic and Vehicles, Article 1, Application and Adoption of the Model Traffic Code, Section 24-3, Amendments to the Model Traffic Code.
Good evening, Council. My name is Bryce Current, the Chief of Police, and I'm here requesting approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 24 of the Model Traffic Code. This recommendation revolves around safety and quality of life and engaged and informed community. So our vision is one Durango, and our mission is to create a safe place to live, work, and play. So this revolves a little bit around automated speed enforcement, and we, as I discussed in study session last month, we conducted multiple neighborhood engagement meetings with city residents who were asking for speed cameras, and we were overwhelmingly met in agreement that they were needed in our biking and walking and playing town. We also conducted surveys, and in the midst of those surveys, we received a lot of information that we needed to contact more people. So met with Clancy and utilized the Engage forum and met with over 1,200 more people online. And the final weighted averages, as I said in study session for those 1,200 people, was 50% in support of automated speed enforcement cameras, 11% were neutral, and 39% did not support the cameras. And that was virtual. As I said, online, the in-person meetings were much more in favor of the automated speed enforcement. So understanding the need for automated speed traffic enforcement, our officers in a 24-hour period can respond to over 100 calls for service. We counted over 3 million vehicles in 30 days entering and exiting Durango recently. We cover 120 lane miles, and speeding is our top complaint. Just driving into town this week on Camino, right in front of Home Depot, everybody was driving along, and one vehicle got anxious and just started buzzing through traffic and hit an 80-year-old lady and spun her car around, and just happened right in front of me, and got out and saw the impact of that, and over 16 bike pedestrian injuries in 2024. So our goal, so this is an initiative driven by community voices. It's grounded in data and centered on safety. So approving this ordinance is a decisive step toward making Durango a city where everyone can walk, bike, and drive, but in confidence. Our goal is simple: to prevent tragedy before it strikes, not to react after it does. So there's a lot of national traffic improvements going on around the country, and in major cities, the studies have shown that traffic cameras have saved lives. And nationally, speeding is the #1 cause of traffic-related fatalities. And if you mix that with people watching reels that you see at every stoplight and the speeding in between, it's a pretty bad mix. So the road to zero is eliminating traffic-related fatalities in Durango. So we've heard a lot about this from Devin King as he's presented to the council on Vision Zero approach grounded in safe system frameworks, centering on the belief that traffic fatalities are preventable rather than inevitable. And I love that phrase. So we believe in this concept and would rather prevent crime and death than respond to it. So speed enforcement cameras are a community-led solution where residents have seen themselves as part of the solution, and we acted on it. So Colorado agencies with speed enforcement cameras, I thought this was important just to give a visual of who around the country is currently involved. So as you can see, these are the cities that have implemented or in the process of implementing speed enforcement cameras. We have CDOT, who's using them around the state, Boulder, Longmont, Loveland, Fort Collins, Morrison, Wheat Ridge Vale, Glenwood. And if you think what CDOT or the state's using them for, obviously it's construction zones if you've read through the ordinance, because we're limited as to where they can be used. So we're in the process of an RFP with vendors, and this is a question I got during study session. So leasing looks like the best option right now, which will not require upfront cost, but will be about $2,000 per camera per month. So we're looking at mobile options also as well, which we could lease or buy outright as well. But an outright camera purchase is about $25,000 per camera. So that's a large upfront cost, and that's why maybe looking at the leasing fees is a better option. But like I said, we're going through the RFP right now, and towards the end of the week, we're going to be able to get our eyes on what that looks like. So we're not looking to make revenue, but these cameras have been proven to be scalable and a self-funding initiative in other cities. So lastly, the recommendation. As I said in the first slide, I want to be very transparent about the purpose of this presentation. We're not here to sell you on a fully developed speed enforcement camera program. We're seeking support in passing an ordinance that would authorize the PD to begin testing the cameras in problem areas and real-world outcomes. So approving this ordinance does not commit the city to permanent deployment, but enables us to responsibly explore if the tool can help address speeding and safety and improve and in the way it aligns with community values. And the possibility of leasing these also helps us in that same effort. So today I'm asking to approve an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinance, Chapter 24, Traffic and Vehicles, Article 1, Application, Adoption of the Model Traffic Code, Section 24-3, Amendments to Traffic Code.
I'll make a motion to approve an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 24, Traffic and Vehicles, Article 1, Application and Adoption of Model Traffic Code, Section 24-3, Amendments to Model Traffic Code.
Second.
Yeah. Press your button. Chief, just a couple of questions. In the numbers that you were stating, it sounded like the lease was $2,000 a month or $25,000 to buy it outright.
Approximately,
Okay,
obviously,
so-
with the different vendors in the RFP that we're going to be looking at, that could vary.
So within 2 years, they would have paid themselves off. Is there an assumption that if we lease, the program may not want to go forward past the 2-year mark?
It gives us a better opportunity to be maneuverable.
Okay.
Essentially. And I mean, we could pay the upfront cost and, get 4 or 5 cameras right now. But it does look like with the research we're doing that the leasing option's better. However, we do want to look at the RFPs and see.
Okay. Okay. And the frequent objections, the negative feedback that you got, is there a category or two that you could kind of clump these into? What were the 36%, 39% of folks objecting to?
Yeah, so you look a lot of the negative comments, and they may not be just outright that we don't want them. It's that they want a different type of enforcement, like law enforcement, like cops. And so if we were in a meeting hall like we had been previously with town halls and whatnot, we can explain that. And if a law enforcement officer pulls you over, you're going to get points taken off your driver's license. You're going to be seeing the DMV. You're going to dealing with the DMV and the court system and everything else. And this is a civil penalty. It's equivalent to a parking ticket. The registered owner is involved, and that's what's great about the state and what they've done. Where there's a lot of constitutional issues in other states when it involves the driver and the citation. The state did a really good job in writing up this legislation, and essentially it's a civil citation and it's not a criminal citation, and similar to a parking ticket.
Makes sense. And is it part of the state rules, or is it us that are saying that we shouldn't derive any revenue out of this?
I'm just saying the purpose is not for that. Our main purpose and the purpose of the citizens, and like I said previously, there's really a citizen-driven directive going to all these engaged forums and putting the dots on what they wanted to do with all the different traffic calming and working together with the city where problems don't lack owners, but we work together collaboratively. We were drawn into that, and one of the things that we were constantly being asked about was the cameras, and it wasn't for a revenue base. However, the revenue could, it's scalable and sustainable. It is the main goal around all of this is to create a deterrent that you do not speed in Durango. Even then we have to provide 30, the ordinance, we have to warn the public for 30 days and then give warnings 30 days after that. But we still think, even though the purpose isn't to write tickets, we will deliver that deterrent here in this town, which is a walking, biking. Even the deer use the crosswalk here. So
yeah, I just wanted to make sure we weren't removing the option for the fees to pay for the program itself, and I think you've answered that. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. So in the event that it's wildly successful and we get a lot of citations and people then pay their citations, does it go specifically to a transportation fund? or does it go to the general fund?
We've been really slow to address that at this point. We'd like to address that later on in talking with the city council and the city manager and get direction in that effort. The police department, we're hoping that we can continue to scale this program and technology to create a safer place for Durango.
And so currently parking tickets go to a DT fund? Like, right, parking tickets, they go to a transit fund? Okay.
Right.
And is that an enterprise fund?
Classified as an enterprise fund, but it doesn't really function as an enterprise fund in regards that it doesn't make enough money to support itself, but it does go into our transit fund that helps us with our transit initiatives.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll look forward to an update on that someday. It seems like it's a lot of money in parking, but I would look forward to that presentation another time. Yeah, I'll looking forward to supporting the pilot. Thank you.
So just so we're clear, because there's been some discussion, this is the enabling legislation. You're not voting for a particular enforcement program or a particular vendor. This is the ordinance that enables the administration to then go out and implement a program the way he's described. So you're not voting on a particular program tonight. You're just voting on the legislation that changes the model traffic code that allows electronic enforcement in Durango. So there's more to come.
Councilor Beal,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilor Koso,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie.
Yes.
That brings us to item 13, public comment on city matters not under consideration tonight. Could we have the recording, Tom? The first person signed up to speak under this section is Mike Olson.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to some. Councilors, Mayor Yazzie, I'm Mike Olson. I live at 291 Animas View Drive. That is in the city limits. And so I'm a resident that location for the last year. I'm a civil engineer, professional engineer. And on June 16th, I sent this email to the councilman, and this was using my phone. Dear councilors, my name is Mike Olson, and I live at 291 Animas View Drive. I was alarmed today as I experienced a city-installed road hazards placed at multiple locations on Animas View Drive. I'm a professional engineer, PE 37145, providing design plans in civil and transportation engineering. Speed humps act similar to reverse potholes, both being hazards in the roadway. In both the case of speed humps and potholes, the residents utilizing the roadway suffer. Speed humps, like potholes, are not an acceptable means of traffic calming. Please remove these hazards from the roadway. Respectfully, Mike Olson. So First off, I did not receive a response saying that I received your comments. I would like to have had that. So second, just to give you a basis of what's going on there. I'm expecting the city of Durango has been in charge of that roadway for at least 20 years. So in 20 years, there's been a lot of development there. Let's say there's been 100 residents out there. I have no idea. What I'm looking at right now is the trip generation manual. That's by land use and how many trips are on average per day. And this is one of the manuals we use as part of transportation engineering. So under that, the code for single family residence is 210. Under 210, it says you have 9.57 trips per day. And you can think about what you do, go to the store, go, that's about right. Okay. The biggest traffic generator that's happened.
Excuse me, Mike, you got 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm going to, yeah, on Annis View Drive has been Oxbow Park. Theirs is close to 30 trips per acre. There's over 43 acres out there. That's almost 1,300 trips per day. In effect, the approval of Oxbow Park is equivalent to 134 houses. So with that, the city is obligated, as like any developer, to fix the problem before it gets started. Well, now we have a problem, and the problem cannot be fixed with speed humps. Those need to be removed. Thank you very much.
The next person signed up is Bodie Wollen.
Hi, good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Bodie Wollen, and I'm a resident of the city of Durango as well. I'm also a third-year student, or going into third-year student at Fort Lewis College. Living in rural Colorado communities for my whole life, my interests have always been invested in the fabric of strong community, the importance of an equitable and renewable future, and the importance of environmental conservation and holistic land management. It is important to me and many of my peers that Durango and the surrounding region retains and builds upon the incredible resilience we have built already, especially in the rugged, ever-changing landscape of the Four Corners, which has experienced some of the most severe changes in rising temperatures and water scarcity in the state due to climate change. You all have received a letter via email yesterday signed by 18 local organizations and businesses and dozens of individual residents of Durango, including myself. This letter encourages you as city councilors and mayor to take definitive and sure action to steer Durango into a more productive path towards safeguarding the future health and well-being of our residents and surrounding resources. It provides the fact that in 2021, City Council signed a resolution, which was R 2021-71, into existence that committed the city to a 50% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and a 100% reduction by 2050. We, as of 2024, have only reduced these emissions by 10%, and that does not include construction and industrial operations in the sum. So we must take strong action to do better as a collective community and city. This letter strongly encourages you to elevate the authority of the sustainability department within the city in order to provide more holistic care and programming via a change to the standing sustainability fee. This change would switch the flat rate of $2.30 on every user's monthly utility bill to a 1.5% fee based on the user's total utility bill, costing the average resident far less monthly while justifiably charging larger users such as industrial operations, shops, etc., more, incentivizing a reduction in water and energy consumption. This would elevate the funding for the sustainability department by 30% monthly. I'm encouraging you to lead from within regarding solutions given in this letter and begin to steer our wonderful city in the right direction for the future of existing and younger generations. We must build with a lens of optimistic realism, work for effective and genuine change, and break the script to lay a path forward. And I've heard that this letter could be brought up in regards to a future study session, and I would love to see this discussed in regard to scheduling possibilities in the other new business section of this meeting. Thank you.
The next person signed up is Emily Frogen.
Hi, I'm Emily. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. First off, I know you all heard about the letter, so
and Bodie's some great summary of the points, so I'm not going to harp on that. But I do want to make a comment on, I think it's item 14.2, which is a resolution supporting public lands that I saw on the agenda. So I want to make this comment on behalf of the San Juan Citizens Alliance, which and our 5,000 members locally. And we really want to urge you all to please pass this resolution. Public lands are vital to Durango's character, history, and future. Public lands are constantly at threat, and it's only a matter of time before the next wave hits. Southwest Colorado is paving the way to be a leader in public lands, and our county is spearheading this. So we would really like to see our city follow suit, and I want to encourage you all to please support this resolution. Thank you.
Next up is Sweetie Marbury.
My name is Sweetie Marbury, and I've been a proud resident for 50 years in Durango. Do I sound like I love Durango? You bet I love Durango. So I'm here today to support 14.3, which is the elimination of lot sizes. And it's so important to me because I believe in fairness and equality. It was established in 2014 by the city council that I was on, but lot sizes has outlived its usefulness. I'm asking you to vote for young families to help pay their mortgage. I'm asking you to vote for increased housing for working people. I'm asking you to vote for the using of the existing infrastructure. You're voting for homeowners, and that's because the prime issue with ADUs is that the homeowner must live on the property, and that's critical, and that's essential, and that's why it works for Durango. The key to this program means that it should be equal and fair to everyone. I'm asking you to vote for homeowners and to abolish the lot sizes that we established in 2014 for accessory dwelling units, because you can make a difference. It can happen tonight, and I'm counting on you to make that difference for the young people, for the working people, for grandmothers. Thanks.
Next up is Karen Pontius.
Back. Can you hear me if I just stand straight? All right. My name's Karen Pontius. I live at 288 Animas View Drive in Durango. I speak in favor of the city of Durango raising the minimum wage in the city. This action has been available to the city since a 2019 law allowed municipalities to raise their minimum wage. My group, Durango Forward, held a study session with City Council this afternoon. We heard from several speakers who support this effort. Sophie Merriam is from the Colorado Fiscal Institute, had a slide, "Who's helped by raising minimum wage?" On one side, it said what people think. On the other side was the reality. So what people think, they think, who's going to benefit? A teenager working part-time after school, lives with their parents, just earning extra spending money. But the reality is, the average age of people on minimum wage is 35, 88% are over 20, 36 are over 40, 56% are women, 28% have children, 55% work full-time. On average, these people earn half of their family's total income. Other speakers described how other cities have used a 3- or 5-step process to bring up minimum wages a little at a time. We could do that here over several years if necessary. So area median income has risen to over $100,000 in La Plata County. That's area median income, or AMI. So if you make $80,000 or less, you're considered low income. Approximately 50,000 a year is very low income. These aren't exact numbers. If you make about 30,000, you fall into the extremely low income category. That's 30% of AMI. And that's where current full-time minimum wage earners reside, in that category. A majority of Durango's essential workers are low income or lower. Yes, Durango has many forward-thinking businesses who recognize that paying a better wage is necessary to maintain their business, so they pay well above the minimum wage. The Thrive program, which certified 56 businesses paying a living wage, ended in 2019, but it made a huge impact here. Raising our city's minimum wage could create a rising tide that lifts all boats. Now that Durango has a prosperity officer overseeing the city's economic development program, it's my wish that we help him create prosperity by tasking the city manager to consider a several-step approach to raise the minimum wage. It doesn't have to happen all at once. Let's improve the quality of our workforce lives. Thank you.
Next up is Lisa Ray. Lisa Ray?
Hello. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Lisa Ray. I'm a resident of Durango. I am one of the people that signed on to the letter that Bodie referenced to in his comments tonight. And I want to say that I started my comments, making my comments, trying to get down to 3 minutes, impossible. So I have decided to write you an email with more explanation. This is regarding your resolution that we meet our greenhouse gas emissions goals. That we fought very hard for about 10 years to get that resolution, and we are not anywhere near being able to hit our targets. So my letter tonight has some proposals, some ideas, and I proposed these in March. Some of you are new, so maybe you haven't seen those. I'll put those in my letter again so that you can read over those. And also the response that I got from Marty Poole, who is the sustainability manager. And anyway, I want to urge you again to put this as a priority, that if we don't take care of this matter, all the other matters that we talked about tonight are immaterial. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Next is Beatrice Garcia.
Hi, I'm Beatriz Garcia, I'm a resident of Durango, but I am here on behalf of Lisa Rogers, who is a Durango resident and nonprofit worker. My name is Lisa Rogers, and I have called Durango home for the past 12 years. I come to you today not just as a resident, but as a woman of color, a single mother, and someone who has built a life here through hard work, dedication, and a deep commitment to this community. Like many years, I felt the weight of Durango raising cost of living. As a sole provider of my family, every month is a careful balancing act, stretching one income to cover the rent, groceries, school supplies, and all unexpected things life threw our way. And now I'm not alone. I work two nonprofit organizations that serves some of the most valuable family in our region. Every day I met parents who are working 2 or 3 jobs, doing everything they can to keep the lights and the food on the table. Yes, it's still not enough. These are the people who care for our children, clean our offices, stock for their shelves, and keep this town running. These deserve the life of dignity, not in constant fear of falling behind. Raising the minimum wage is not just about numbers on a paycheck. It's about creating a community where everyone, regardless of the background or income, has the opportunity to live in stability and hope. Here is what you could look like. Increase the financial stability. For a single parent like me, the higher wage could mean the difference between surviving and breathing room. It could allow us to save a little for emergencies, for our children's future, for peace of mind. No one should have chosen between a car repair or week or a groceries. Better access to housing. With rents climbing higher every year, many families are being pushed out of force to accept unsafe and unstable living conditions. A wage increase could give more people the power to secure a stable housing and put down the roots of a town we love. Improve quality of life. An extra few $100s each month can open the doors for healthier food, after-school programs for children, career training, and more ability to take a deep breath on crushing stress and financial insecurity. And finally, reduce stress, stronger for families. Just to the end, I urge you to stand with working families and support this vital change. Let's be the town where no one is priced out of dignity. Thank you for your time and opportunity to speak from my heart. Thank you.
Next up is Carola Hanks.
Good evening. My name is Carola Hanks. I live at 299 South Sunburst Lane. For those of you who don't know, that's off of Animas View Drive. And just so you know, I'm not speaking for the fire department. I am now retired. So let's get that. I get to now be a resident. So as a resident of Animas View Drive, for 45 years, the city has had responsibility for Animas View Drive. That's when it was annexed, about approximately 45 years ago. There have been virtually no improvements on it. We had a fatality a number of years ago, and then that followed many meetings with city staff, law enforcement. We came to the conclusion that the best option was what law enforcement talked about today, as residents and those in attendance, that we would love to be a pilot test for the speed cameras with the ticketing program. However, it took so long to get here that what happened a couple weeks ago was we got speed bumps. And speed bumps have now made Animas View Drive more dangerous than it was before for pedestrians and bicyclists. The cars now swerve around the speed bumps, trying to avoid them in the dirt, the only place that the public can walk because we don't have sidewalks or curbs, right? Nothing to keep the cars away. Now we have this weaving, swerving process with people bailing to get away from cars. Secondly, cars are now speeding between the speed humps, right? Including city staff vehicles, including public transportation from the city. This was an ill-conceived concept. Jessica, Commissioner Buell, sorry, I've known you a long time. You stated well thought out projects are great, and that's what we need. This was not well thought out. This has decreased the safety. And please remember, we want to be that test. We said it in a public hearing. We want to be there, but those speed bumps need to go away before somebody gets killed. Thank you.
Next up is Diana Montoya. Tom, she is online, I believe.
Sorry, Faye, that's Diana Montoya.
Diana Montoya.
Diana, if you want to unmute your microphone, you can speak.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. All right. So my name's Diana. I'm a fourth year college student over at the fort, and I wanted to speak on the behalf of the Durango Forward Coalition and also just on my college's behalf. So I've lived on campus for now what's going to be 4 years. And what I've noticed and what I've done actually in one of my professor's classes, his name is Ben Waddell, I had to do this essay that was showing just like how hard the housing situation was. And so that's why I wanted to speak on the minimum wage, because I've also been a part of, I'm a work study student, and I also worked 2 jobs last year. And I'm also in like my early 20s. So I just want to say how hard that was as like a college student trying to like be independent in a town that is actually really beautiful, but it's really hard to like have money for anything other than food for me, honestly. And I can't imagine how it's going to be for families of 2 or more. I know a lot of people, and I did in one of my essays for this class, just research on what were the effects of people being homeless or people just facing housing crisis, economic crisis. And they were just saying that honestly that they didn't have the support that they needed. There's a lot of local organizations. My college does really well at that, of helping people out with food and helping people out with resources, but I just wanted to speak on the city doing more on that. And like I said, I'm speaking on behalf of the Durango Forward Coalition that's working to higher the minimum wage. I live in Carbondale, Colorado for 3 months at a time. And I just wanted to say that I really hope that you guys think about this and see how this impacts all the workers. I've heard a lot of other people say how important it is, and I really do think it is, because I've seen people with all of these jobs that they work and they're barely making it. In my essay, I interviewed 4 people, and they said that you know, a lot of them had to choose between food and housing, which is really hard to hear, especially knowing that I worked with families who like had more than 4 kids, and that was just really difficult to hear, because I do like working with children a lot on campus. I work with like La Escuelita is what it's called, and I don't know a lot of their personal situations, but you know, the parents open up, and it's just something that I think that you guys should really try to approve and to work on, because like I said, the city and the community does a really good job.
Diana, you have 30 seconds.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I just think that, again, to reinforce what I was saying, that the city needs to do something, because the local people are doing good. But I just think if they had the city support and all of what they're doing, that would be very helpful. So thank you for your time. Bye.
Next up is Christina Rinderly.
No, hello, Madam Mayor, councilors, city manager, city attorney. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to all the folks here this evening. I also was in your seat years ago when we were working on accessory dwelling units, and I'm here tonight to support the elimination of the minimum lot size that you have in front of you this evening for consideration. I just want to make a few points for your consideration as well. Eliminating the minimum lot size encourages diverse housing options. So removing this lot size, it opens up the door for more flexible and affordable housing options for our community. It allows homeowners with smaller lots to contribute to our housing supply, especially in our community where housing supply is already in such short numbers. The owner occupancy requirement that we already have in place already preserves neighborhood stability. I know some people are concerned about extra density, but because our city already has that owner occupancy requirement in place, that either the ADU or the main house is owner occupied, it is a built-in incentive for responsible property management and helps support the community character in our neighborhoods. It also preserves our neighborhood character. ADUs are typically very small. We already have a size limitation in place of 550 square feet or less. So it helps create a low impact addition that blends in with existing homes in our community. And we already have design standards and height restrictions and setback rules that still apply. So it doesn't mean uncontrolled development. It actually is a very nice option that helps respect the diversity of our neighborhoods that is already in place. And I think also an important point to make is that it also promotes equity and access for our community. Our minimum lot sizes are often disproportionately exclude lower income neighborhoods or those older neighborhoods with smaller lots. So removing this barrier makes it more equitable for a wider range of residents throughout our community to benefit from the ADU development as an income source or for their family members. And it also supports aging in place and multi-generational living, which is really important. I see this all the time where ADUs serve as housing for aging parents, adult children, or caregivers, and it helps families stay together. So eliminating this lot restriction expands this option to more households, especially in denser older areas. And I think something that also is important for our city is already where our infrastructure exists. So improving housing supply without improving sprawl. So allowing more ADUs, even on smaller lots, adds a gentle density without requiring new infrastructure and expanding our urban footprint. So there are a number of reasons why I really support this. We've worked so hard for so many years, and I'm so happy to see this coming forward because there are so many great opportunities for that in our community. So I just want to thank you for your time and consideration, and thanks for all you do.
Next up is Anna Barastatis.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules to have, what's your name?
Beatriz Garcia.
Beatrice read another statement.
Second. Just do aye.
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 Yeah, aye.
Thank you, City Council, again, for your flexibility. My name is Anna. I'm speaking I'm Beatriz Garcia. I'm the Durango resident, and I'm speaking on behalf of Anna. My name is Anna. I am a longtime Durango local, and I haven't grown. Gone to college, and I'm now raising my daughter here. I currently work at the local school district, and I'm the VP of DESPA, the Educational Support Professional Union here. I am submitting this letter in support of this initiative to raise the minimum wage. My family and I love Durango, and it is an incredible town with incredible scenery and incredible people. I have spent a good portion of my adult life here fighting for tooth and nail to keep myself and my family here. I have worked many industries, food service, retail, and now public service. Many times I have worked 2 or 3 jobs at a time to ensure my family's survival here. That is the reality for many of us living and working in Durango. I consider myself incredibly lucky, and my husband and I landed in a place where both only need to one job to make the ends meet. But many of our friends, family are still grinding multiple jobs and make the rent. I tell you this because I want you to understand that I am familiar with how our town and economy work. I know firsthand how hard it is to make the ends meet. We all know that Durango economy is driven by tourism, and tourism is largely supported by working class. Many of our working class people are hanging by financial threat, and many of them are leaving because of it. This is a community issue. When the working class opts out, we see the ripple effect of the decreasing talent pool, declining tax base, and drops in school enrollment. We also see the effects of the culture of our vibrant community, and our long-time work people leave. We lose who have spent their lives in the community buildings and front-facing customer service roles. That vacuum is felt by the populations who need the most. Both of those issues pull the comparison of the biggest issue, which is people in our community overworked, overwhelmed, and suffering for survival more, trying to make the ends and meet of our pittance, sorry, my bad, pronouncing, while the end cost of living of housing costs skyrocket. This is why the raise of minimum wage is important. Sorry. It's important. I implore you to take care of our community and help alleviate some of the financial stress in a small way. Both I and DESPA stand behind raising the minimum wage in our working class in Durango. Thank you so much.
Next up is Rosa Valvita. She would like to speak in Spanish, so we will need the interpreter.
I'm going to make a motion to suspend the time limit or make the time limit 6 minutes to allow for interpretation.
Second.
Aye.
Hola, buenas tardes, señor alcalde, concejal. Hola, me llamo Rosa Luz. Vivo en Durango hace muchos años. Soy inmigrante, trabajadora que se desempeña en una industria o en los restaurantes. Un sector donde yo trabajo es muy duro y exigente. Apoyo pido yo por el salario mínimo, porque muchas personas como yo trabajamos largas horas en condiciones difíciles. Aún así, no ganamos lo suficiente para cubrir nuestras necesidades básicas. Subir el salario mínimo ayudará a mejorar la calidad de vida de los trabajadores y fortalecerá la economía local y demostrará que se valora el esfuerzo y la dedicación de quienes mantenemos en marcha de nuestra comunidad. Un salario justo es un lujo de una necesidad. Yo le agradezco a todas las autoridades el apoyo que nos brinda a cada uno de los trabajadores y Dios les va a bendecir. Muchas gracias.
And then I'm going to be speaking on behalf of Rosa. Hello, my name is Rosa. I have been living in Durango for 3 years. I am a hardworking immigrant who works in the restaurant industry, a sector where the work is very tough and demanding. I support raising the minimum wage because many people like me work long hours in difficult conditions and still don't earn enough to cover basic needs. Increasing minimum wage would help improve workers' quality of life, strengthen the local economy, and show that the effort and dedication of those who keep our community running are truly valued. A fair wage is not a luxury, it is a necessity, and I appreciate all your hard work. Thank you.
Next, I only have one name, Torres, and this individual would also like to speak Spanish, so we will need the interpreter to stay.
Keeping you busy today. You guys need to run the clock. Well, you voted to double time, not suspend.
So make sure you run the clock for.
Yeah, Nick has been notified that he needs to run the clock twice.
Okay, great, thanks.
Hola, buenas tardes con todos. Mi nombre es Silvana Torres. Trabajo para la Coalición de la Equidad Alimentaria de La Plata aquí en Durango y coordino las actividades de un grupo denominado Voces de mi Comunidad, que está conformado por mujeres latinas de diferentes países, las cuales muchas de ellas también trabajan en restaurantes, en hoteles, cuidando niños y tienen entre 2 a 3 trabajos. Entonces, creo que incrementar el salario mínimo de las personas les daría la oportunidad a que ellas tengan mayores ingresos, que puedan incrementar su economía local y no solo eso, sino también ayudaría a la economía local, dado que ellos podrían tener más dinero para poder comprar alimentos saludables, nutritivos, para pagar sus rentas, incluso tener más dinero para poder rentar aquí en Durango, lo cual es muchas veces imposible. Y tener dinero para actividades recreativas con sus familias. Y sobre todo esto les daría la posibilidad de que estas personas puedan tener un balance entre su familia y el trabajo. Entonces, por eso apoyo la propuesta de incrementar el salario mínimo. Gracias.
My name is Silvana Torres. I work for La Plata Food Coalition and coordinate the activities of a group called Voces. voices of the community that is led by Latina women who come from different countries. Many of them work in restaurants and hotels, caring for our children, and have 2 or even 3 jobs. I believe that raising the minimum wage would give people the opportunity to have higher incomes, which would not only contribute to their family's financial well-being, but also to the local economy. People could have more money to buy healthy food, pay for their rent on time, have the possibility of renting a place here in Durango, and have the time and money to enjoy recreational activities with their families. Most importantly, it would give them the chance to have balance in their lives. That's why I support the measure to raise the minimum wage. Thank you.
And the last person signed up is Maya Gallardo, speaking Spanish online.
Give us 1 second here.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Mayra Gallardo, soy residente de Westside Mobile Home Park. Tengo 3 trabajos, uno limpio casas, el segundo soy parte de la Universidad de Colorado en el programa de Salud Sin Barreras y también formo parte del grupo de Voces de la Comunidad. A mí me gustaría hablar de la importancia de incrementar el salario mínimo, ya que las personas, bueno, todos en general nos vimos afectados después de COVID con la economía y sobre todo las personas que más se vieron afectadas fueron la clase media y la clase baja. ¿Por qué? Porque tenemos incrementos al doble de renta, de comida, del cuidado infantil y el estrés, la ansiedad se están afectando la salud mental de todas estas personas y me incluyo porque tenemos que trabajar el doble o el triple para poder darles una calidad de vida mejor a nuestros hijos. Y eso a veces es triste porque no tenemos el tiempo para dedicarles de una manera adecuada a nuestros hijos, tiempo de calidad, y nuestra salud se está viendo afectada. Y también se está viendo afectado en los negocios. ¿Por qué? Porque no podemos pagar ciertas cosas. Entonces, la economía está siendo muy afectada. Creo que de todos debemos y merecemos una vida digna y de calidad, con un salario justo y sobre todo el tiempo para poder vivir y convivir con nuestras familias. Así que hago conciencia de que se pongan en el lugar de todas esas personas que venimos a trabajar fuerte y a trabajar duro para poder tener una vida mejor. Espero que hagan conciencia de que sería una muy buena oportunidad para todas las personas y para las familias el que se haga este incremento, ya que así aliviaríamos bastante el estrés, la ansiedad y sobre todo tendríamos más oportunidades como personas y como seres humanos. Gracias.
And council, we'll get you a translation of that after the meeting.
That's the end of the public comment. The next item on the agenda is other new business. 14.1 is a request for a study session to gather information on a charter change that would create district council seats replacing at-large councilors.
Executive session, because this isn't real urgent. Do I need to make a motion?
She's withdrawing that item.
Okay. Okay, so
That moves to item 14.2, a resolution supporting public lands submitted by Councilor Beal.
Yeah, mine will be quick. Anna Peterson has been in communication requesting a resolution formally supporting our public lands. As we all know, public lands is critical to our economy and our way of life here in Durango. I think she's given us some examples of resolutions that other communities have passed. I'd like to see if there's council support for this resolution.
I'd like to make a motion to support your resolution for public lands.
Second.
Counselor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Counselor Koso,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Buell,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff.
Yes.
Brings us to 14.3, a request for an ordinance amending and pertinent part of the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 27, Land Use and Development Code, Chapter 2, Zones, Uses and Development, Article 2, Special Limited and Conditional Use Standards, Section 2-3-2-3, Accessory Dwelling Units to eliminate minimum lot size requirements.
Anyone want to, do you want to make a motion
I
first?
think you can say, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. You want
Go
me to?
ahead.
Okay. I'll make a motion to request an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 27, Land Use and Development Code, Chapter 2, Zones, Uses and Development, Article 2, Special Limited and Conditional Use Standards, Section 2-3-2-3, accessory dwelling units to eliminate minimum lot size requirements.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor and Mayor. Yeah, I just was able to talk with Jamie about potentially eliminating lot size requirements for ADUs. I think it's a good idea to create more infill. I mean, I think Mrs. Renderly made it much more poignant than I could. So yeah, I look forward to having more conversation moving forward.
In this request, can like a friendly, can I get a little background on, I mean, I know we've gotten it from Sweetie but a little background on when we got it, the reasons behind the lot size requirements, like access, making sure safety we're good on that, and that there will be owner occupancy requirements, like that's not changing.
Maybe a study session to kind of give like a little
Study session,
background?
just like a presentation when we do this.
So this will come back as an introduction of an ordinance.
Okay, can we get a staff presentation during that?
There would be a staff presentation on the consideration.
Consideration, yeah. So
Beautiful.
you're a couple meetings away yet.
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay, that's what I just.
So originally came out as a directive to, how'd you phrase it?
A direction of staff, yeah.
Yeah, so
right.
originally the counselor asked that the city manager just accomplish this. And so we met with him after that meeting and he explained that it had to go through an ordinance process and potentially even a process with the Community Development Committee. So that's why it appears like it does tonight as an introduction ordinance. Once it's introduced and moves forward, we'll have further discussions about what route it takes and we can get the information at the time it's ready for consideration.
All righty, can we get a vote?
Yeah, I just need a little bit more clarification. So I understand that this is just at the introduction stage, but I think Councilor Buell was just trying to sit there and say the key points that we wanted to make sure were included in the presentation. I would also add some things around safety for ADUs that were built before 2014, in addition to what you talked about as well. So it's not appropriate to bring those points that we really want to
Basically,
make
we're
at
like
this
2
time.
meetings ahead of what we're asking for. So on the next meeting, we would ask for these things in the final.
Yeah,
Okay.
this
The
is
process.
basically just to get it on the docket.
This is the meeting where you get 3 of you to agree that you want it to be an official part of your agenda.
And I would just counterpose, I'm not necessarily going to agree or disagree if it's missing components of what I'm interested in getting.
Yeah, but we just agree to put it on for discussion. That's all this is.
Okay.
In other words, I don't want to get too far into it, but I mean, it's all about giving the public more time to digest these things so they move slow enough to where we don't accuse of doing something without giving the public notice.
No, and I get that point. I guess I just don't quite understand why we can't also guide some of the discussion at this point so that staff has that much more time to prepare for what we would be adding on to at the next round. So I'm not sure if I'm just out of order on this piece, or it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense that if we've got some points to be made and some interests that we have according to this topic right now, that we can't share those so that the staff can prep.
Maybe a point of clarity, Councilor Koso, are you looking for changes to the code of the way it's potentially worded, or just more clarification in terms of like what's happened previously that could be a part of the conversation that staff presents?
Correct. And I'll take the example of ADUs that were built before 2014 were grandfathered in. I have concerns around the safety of these. I have personal experience with some of the things that have happened. I'm not sure that would have been part of the discussion if the ordinance would have gone forward. And at some point I need to interject.
What I should have done, and I apologize because I kind of jumped the gun first and then you jumped the gun with me, which is great.
Everybody's
But tomorrow in my one-on-one with Jose, I should have said, hey, when we're doing this, like, this is what I'm going to want to know, down the line. So just be prepared. And then they come ready anyways because our staff's amazing and they think about more things than I think about. So.
And I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but the problem that really exists is we don't have time to sit here and say, is anybody else interested in that, right? I may have something that's of concern to me that's addressed in a one-on-one with the staff, or I may find that 3 or 4 other counselors actually have a sincere interest in that as well. This seems to be the only venue I can do that in.
If I may, I mean, we do have the ordinance proposed changes that Councilor Woodruff has made, so it is in here. When staff does a presentation on first consideration, that presentation will talk about what are the effects of these changes and what do they have. If during that item, just like any other item, council members do email me after reading the agenda item and say, hey, Jose, here are some questions I'm going to have, then I can forward that to staff so we can be prepared for the presentation.
Okay.
Righty, so Kip, you could send an email with your details. And
Again, we're missing my point. My point is
No,
this is
but-
the only time I have for 4 other counselors because I cannot meet with 2 of you at
Well,
any
we're
given
gonna have the
time.
discussion when it gets, if we vote
But-
on it to put it on the agenda.
And I understand. I understand the process. I'm just stating what I have a difficulty with. In one
Alrighty,
area.
I understand. Okay, could we get a vote? Oh, you got, oh. Sorry, I missed your hand.
So, I guess, right, so, along with Kip, I mean, right, we require a thorough presentation. While some of you all have heard these items, we have not, I have never heard a presentation on ADUs. And where we stand with them. So it's difficult to support it because I feel like I have no idea what we're talking about. So you're talking about adjusting lot sizes. There's nothing related to parking, which I imagine is included. And I imagine that there has to be some sort of effort to take this through a public, the commission, right? The planning commission or the community development planning commission.
We just spoke about.
Right. So, but that's not in here. So it's not in the amendment that it will go through a presentation. So, right, so because we're approving it as presented.
Not approving anything.
Putting it
I wanna
on
make sure,
the next
'cause
one to talk about.
They're not approving anything. I mean,
We're-
so this will come back for introduction. And that's the process that is prescribed by your charter. At the time that it's introduced, you have limited discussion because you're not debating the merits of it at introduction. But that would be an appropriate time to say, before I can support this at consideration, I would need more details, at which point the staff would be charged with presenting that to you. And you do all of that in public after it's been put on the agenda for that purpose. The public's not prepared for you guys to make a debate or consideration of this item tonight because we don't know until tonight if you have 3 councilors to move it forward. Once we know you have 3 councilors to move it forward, it goes through the normal ordinance process, which gives 3 opportunities for public input: introduction, consideration, and final reading.
Thank you.
Could we get a vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Councilor Beal,
Yes.
Councilor Koso.
Yes.
Brings us to item 15. 15.1 is a motion to convene an executive session to receive.
I am so sorry.
I'm sorry.
Faye, I have some other new business that
Oh,
maybe
I'm sorry.
that'd be okay. Okay. I have 2, if that's okay, Mayor. Actually, just 1. I apologize. So I was remiss in the last meeting with the Animas River Surfers and their conversation with city staff. I would like to move it for introduction at the next meeting. A resolution directing the Financial Advisory Board to be presented with the River Surfway feasibility study and for them to consider that project as they make the recommendations for the 2026 parks projects. Please.
To number 15.
Sorry, we're all jumping the gun tonight, apparently. Sorry. Item 15.1, a motion to convene an executive session to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 24-6-402 4B concerning potential litigation.
I'll make a motion to convene an executive session to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024B concerning potential litigation.
Second.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Koso,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez, Counselor Buell.
Yes.
The time is now 8:25 and the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were Mark Morgan, Kip Kosel, Dave Woodruff, Shirley Gonzalez, Jessica Buell.
Yeah, this guy. This guy. Awesome, that guy.
Jose Madrigal and Aaron Hyder and Bonnie. Bonnie. And Bob Laurie. Oh, he was the devil. For the record, council met in executive session to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 246402 4B concerning potential litigation. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters do not include in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask you to state your concerns for the record. Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is adjournment. Okay, we're adjourned.
Adjourned.
Group everybody's names.